Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Tom from UDS with another edition of UDS Interviews, our series where we chat to interesting people from around the world. Now, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say my guest this week is one of the most important figures in modern British rock, helping to promote and spotlight some of the most exciting and innovative, easy for me to say, innovative acts of recent years. Here to talk all about the 30th anniversary of the acclaimed Farnborough Groove compilation, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Pete Cole. Pete, how are you doing in these weird times that we live in?
Well, where's the new normal, isn't it? I guess, really. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, COVID-free, touch wood. So far, so good. Had a few tests and all being negative. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good, thank you.
That's good to hear. That's all you can really hope for at the moment. But obviously, you know, you're one of those figures that, as I say, has been incredibly influential, but maybe not so many people have heard of you, by name. And so I want to get to know the real you at the top of the show. And the one way I do that is asking the hard-hitting questions. I've warned you there'd be some hard questions, and this is the hardest one. Oh, blimey. We're getting attacked by a cat. I may have to ask the question to the cat as well. But, Pete, if you were a type of sandwich, what kind of sandwich would you say best represents you as a person?
A bacon sandwich that's been really cooked, so it's really grilled and crispy and old, says the wife. Sandwich.
I mean, I think you sound delicious. You cannot be a good classic bacon sandwich, so that is a good thing to be. But again, for the people who maybe haven't heard of the Farnborough Groove scene and the compilation, could you just give us a quick introduction to it and how you became involved in sort of the home county's music scene?
Oh, how long we got? It started literally around this time, well, beginning of 91. A lot of my friends still are in bands, and they're all usually great musicians, great songs, but they haven't got a clue how to promote themselves. They're out there and heard the scene and think the world should come to them. So that's sort of the concept for about the very first Farnborough Groove, which was about 20 odd tracks. I think I'd say about 10 of them were really good friends of mine. And basically done on a tape. It was a cassette tape in those days. It was like a C90 tape. Compiled it. The first one was at a friend's studio. Got it duplicated at Keynote Cassettes in Farnham. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was a place all the bands used to go to copy their demo tape. Demo tapes sound so old. And I got it copied up and put into local shops, mainly sort of record shops like the Rock Box in Camberley, Play It Again Records in Aldershot when it was still going there. Quite a few record shops in those days. And what that made me laugh is I actually sold it in the Farnborough Kebab and Burger opposite the Tumble Down Dick, because all the bands played either the George and Ashvale or the Tumble Down in those days. And now, of course, one's knocked down, the others are McDonald's. But anyway, But I think the guys used to sort of really sell it in the shop, because I think people would come in there after a few beers after the Tumble Down. And they go home and they'd have a tape in their pocket as well, and £2 short in change. They sell them the Farnborough Groove without even knowing it. But I can't be sold any. Oh, yeah, we need another 20. What? So, but yeah, so the idea was to keep the price really low, quality control fairly high, as in quality bands, also quality recordings. Mm-hmm. There's no point putting a home recording if it's really. I mean, these days you can make a blinding recording at home, but in 1991 you couldn't. So it's a bit of quality control, and on and off for the last 30 years, which sounds absolutely crazy to say that, I managed to sort of get 12 out, 12 ones coming out soon, and a best of, which I did about 4 years ago, I think, of 1 to 10. But there was about a gap of about 14 years between volume 10 and 11.
Wow.
Of a bit of behaviour. Always had it back in my mind to do it, and the time seemed right. So I think around the time I brought it back, there's another sort of resurgence of what I consider to be some really good bands in this area. I mean, Farnborough. I mean, if you actually did a survey of all the bands that are on it, it's probably only about half from Farnborough. Sort of stretch out. They're quite a big radius. If I like it, I'll put it on there, really. Usually because some of the bands might be from Portsmouth, for example. It's a band called Thirst, who were going in 2000, 2001, something like that. And they're absolutely blinding bad.
I mean, I was listening to Kissing Mr. Easy literally today. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. You mentioned that, things have changed. Venues have sort of become, McDonald's and bands have sort of come and gone. And we are kind of in this new resurgence. But it felt like to me as sort of, an ignorant outsider that it was the early 2000s where the real sort of heyday of the scene with, as you say, bands like Ruben, Vex Red coming up. So in that time between now and then, or then and now, should I say, how has the scene changed in terms of, music in the home counties? Do you think that this new wave is like a new wave, or do you think its day has been, should we say? It sounds really negative, but I hope you know what I mean.
I mean, I'm 52 now. Started this, I was a lot younger than I am now. I am a bit of a stuck in my ways. I know what I like, and I like what I do what I like what I do. And yeah, but I mean, having said that, I mean, there's a lot of old stuff on there, but there are some new bands. There's bands like Slow Time Mondays, which is a lyric from a Jam song, ironically. They're really young. You can just hear it, in the song. It just, buzzes. It's just really good. But yeah, I just think music's always been around. It's never going to go away. Occasionally you just get a blast of a bunch of really good bands coming through, and that's when it's a scene, I suppose. But yeah, I think my favourite Farnborough Groove is the one that you mentioned, as in that era of, you've got Ruben, Vex Red, Cephas, who absolutely adored Mindwire, just cracking band after cracking band, really. I hope I tried at the time to get 100 Reasons on there as well, but again, they just signed to Sony or something like that, so I was a little bit out of their league at that point, although I knew them really well. I still sort of know two of them more.
Out of interest, so what is the normal process? Do bands approach you to get on the compilation, or do you seek out who you would want on the compilations?
Yeah, both. I mean, I always have. If I hear of a good band or get tipped off and I like it, I think, right, if they're still going when I get around to the next Farnborough Groove, I'll ask them. And quite often the kiss of death is being on the Farnborough Groove, unfortunately, because it can take quite a while from start to finish. After bands would be come and gone. But as it's not pressing CDs, getting tapes copied up, it's all like, you upload it to a server now and hit a button, it's live and whenever you want it to be. It's a bit quicker. I used to get asked, but not so much. I think possibly because it's not so original anymore. Not to say that I invented the compilation, because I didn't, but there's a lot more of them about. You can make your own on Spotify so easily, things like this, and so occasionally I might get asked, but generally I'll approach, and sometimes I don't get an answer. Like there's a friend of mine, he's going to studio in Fleet. It's a guy called Smiley. He's like a producer, drummer for quite a few bands himself. And I asked him, and he chipped me for about 3. I think only 2 of them got back to me. And one of those was the Slow Time Mondays lot that I hadn't heard of before, because I did want some new blood. It's not all. I don't want it to be old people. Because nothing wrong with that. Because I mean, I'm in the same school as them. Same age sort of bracket as them. But bands, there's a few new new blood there, which has got to be good for the future. So I want to be there in 30 years' time on the next anniversary of 30 years.
Well, I mean, a lot of those bands on those earlier compilations have probably directly inspired a lot of the ones on the newer ones. So it's kind of a nice sort of cyclical nature to it all.
And often I'll be out somewhere and someone will say, "Ah, you're Pete. Yeah, you used to manage so and so." I'm like, "Yeah, doesn't happen so much these days, but every so often it'll happen, and I'm quite happy for a day. So one day coming out, we're going into Harvester, me and the missus, and somebody said, "Oh, you're Pete Cole," and I was like, "Yeah, where are your money?" You know. So and he's, it's quite nice. Every so often that happens, so it makes it worthwhile. Because over the years, I've lost thousands on music, as in like putting out CDs, not just compilations, not just Farnborough Groove, I've released other stuff as well, and got bank loans, and wouldn't do it now. Again, you have to press up, say, 500 CDs up front, and then you end up with like 450 under your bed for like 10 years, and then you realise when you go and try and play it, it doesn't actually play anymore because you kept them near a radiator. That happened with Farnborough Groove 10.
Yeah,
ruin of those.
I've had exactly the same thing. We printed out some old school zines for our own sort of projects and everything, and it's one of those things you buy. The more you order, the better value per unit it becomes. So you end up ordering way more than you need. And I've got some from about 2 years ago in my airing cupboard that I just cannot shift because you just overdo it. But yeah, I mean it is very much a labour of love, and I sort of I say as a fan of the music and the scene in general, even though as I say I sort of came onto it as a late adopter in the grand scheme of things, it really is sort of appreciated that you have sort of helped to shape lots of people's music taste through the Farnborough Groove compilations. And I've been introduced to so many bands that I wouldn't have otherwise have found, and who frankly might have been lost to time because of the internet and everything. Your sort of collections are a last place to really discover some of these acts which are true hidden gems.
It's nice to hear. It's good to hear. Every so often I'll reach saturation point and think that no one's interested, and I sort of give up. And then I always go back to it.
Absolutely, and we thank you for it. Thank you for it.
I mean, this area mustn't forget the real past. We had. I live in Woking these days, and the Jam are from Woking. That's just down the road from Farnborough. The Stranglers, even though they're kind of like frontman's a Geordie, they're all based in Guildford. In fact, they were called the Guildford Stranglers once upon a time. But the members, who were from like Frimley, Camberley area, and they had the sound of the suburbs. Again, this is like late 70s, early 80s. So there's always been a lot of talent around this area. But the scene in sort of in 2000, 2002, 2001, 2002, they all seem to sort of come out of Linkin Park, really. Linkin Park and I don't know what other the Offspring and American bands, and spawned the Vex Red, Rubin, 100 Reasons, and the other bands that didn't do quite as well. But those three seem to be like, whoa. I mean, I knew Rubin the best by far, and then I knew sort of Vex Red because it's quite funny actually, because when Inter, they signed a record deal in 1999. Yeah, the album came out in 2000. And Terry was working at Kingfisher Music at the time, in Fleet. He ended up sort of selling all their equipment to it. But around that time, they were in the Battle of the Bands. I mean, I used to get them to play any gig. Battle of the Bands suck. Everyone knows that. But if it's a really big, nice venue, it's worth doing because you might play the people you haven't played to before. You might sell a few CDs or whatever. And but Terry Abbott complains to the organiser into the record deal. It wasn't. I had a bank loan. I went to Abbey National and got my bank loan. That's not good, is it? And yeah, they got quite upset. But within about at least no more than 6 months later, they signed to like Virgin, or V2, whatever it was, part of a subsidiary of V2 with Ross Robinson. I thought, all the irony of it all. Then she did sign a record deal after that, but it was quite a well-funded record label, but run by a bunch of idiots. But yeah, there's an amazing scene around here. I sometimes get fed up with it and just, some of the bands don't always appeal. But just because some old fella in Woking doesn't like it, doesn't mean somebody else might love it. So, each to their own. I do like my guitar-y, anthemic I mean, my favourite band of all time are U2.
Mm.
Ever since I was 14, and I'm just as much obsessed now. Quite a few years later, and I think they're getting towards the end of their career. But ironically, his son is in a band now called Inhaler,
Okay.
who people who have signed a big deal. They actually sort of done it pretty well under their own steam. The poor sort does get a lot of asks about Bono and his dad, and has it helped him? It probably hasn't hurt him, of course, but they are very, very good in their own right, and they're probably the current favourite band, ironically. But again, COVID's completely knackered their plans, like most bands in the last 12 months. I mean, they were actually sort of reaching the charts, but I'm not sure which charts they actually are. It's charts I've never heard of. But all the things like R&B in it, which is like, how does that work? But yeah. So I do get quite obsessed with my music. But hang on a minute, that's not going to stop. So
absolutely. I mean, this is the time that we need, good new music to keep us entertained when there's not a lot else going on, and so I think this is the perfect time to have released Volume 12. For the people who are listening at home, what day does Volume 12 come out?
April Fool's Day, 1st of April.
Was that by design or?
Well, because the first one came out April 1991. Not sure the exact date in April 91, but there's a review in the local paper dated April the 12th, 1991. So therefore, it must have been around a week or two before that. So I'm saying 1st of April. And knowing the irony of April Fool's Day, it probably was 1st of April 1991. So 30 years, but only 12 volumes. I mean, if I'd been a bit more productive, it could have been, But
well, it's what they say: quality over quantity is the main thing. So.
Yeah, but I've not been to a gig. I went to a what's the word? Socially distanced gig around Christmas time, which was very, very weird. And didn't really enjoy it. And people weren't exactly being that careful. A bit of a worry. Sitting down, But
yeah,
it was. Other than that, before that was Inhaler playing in they're playing quite big venues in their own right now. They're like playing in Heaven in London. They're playing Dingwall, selling it out. The Garage in Highbury. They're getting to the next level. But they played a showcase gig at the Lexington, King's Cross in Highbury. 8 March. This weekend, the weekend just gone last year. That was my last proper gig. I don't know. I've just accepted it. Really, I do miss it. I've had a few wobbles, but things aren't getting better. And I've actually announced a Farnborough Groove gig at Farnborough Football Club on the 10th of July, which has got Wob playing, Twister, Billy Liberator, and Graham Judd, who they're all on the Farnborough Groove.
Very
so
exciting.
It should have been last summer, not this summer, but hopefully, touch wood again, it will go ahead.
Absolutely.
Boris, it will. So,
well, I mean, they reckon this summer is going to be, when things can open up again. So touch wood, as you say, July onwards, we can finally see live music. It's been over a year now since obviously I've been to a show, and you do get withdrawal symptoms after a while because, as you say, these socially distanced things. First of all, people don't take it seriously enough, and secondly, they're just not the same. Just having to have that in your back of your mind that things aren't quite right. It's not quite the same as a real gig.
Yeah, but I mean it's better than nothing.
True.
But there's always a worry. I mean, I've put the mask on every time we went to the toilet and things like this because without a mask on, it was just strange, really strange.
It's a strange old time that we live in, but things like Farnborough Groove Volume 12 are definitely helping, and definitely helps chatting to you as well. So thank you so much for your time today chatting. It's been an absolute pleasure finding out more about the scene and the collection and everything else that you've had a hand in.
Yeah, gee, I could go on for hours, but I won't. Don't want to bore you or
No,
else.
no. I don't want to take up any more of your evening. And if I could, I definitely would. And hopefully, you know, when things are a little bit back to normal, and we can either meet in person or at a gig or sometimes, think I definitely owe you a drink.
That'd be great. Actually, I should say this actually might inspire me to get on with it. I'm hoping to put a book out of my memoirs of like the local music scene and beyond. No idea when. Actually, got some stuff written, but it's proving difficult, and we keep thinking things I need to put in and take out. But hopefully, a book at some point will follow. My mate Paul, who's on the Farnborough Groove, actually, as Billy Liberator, he's the one who had the idea. I'll tell you what, if I write it, you just talk about it. Deal, because you know. But I do need to write some stuff as well, so it'd be unfair to leave it all to him. But so a book, hopefully one day. Well, it will happen one day. There you go. It's a bit more optimistic.
There you go.
I haven't thought of a name for it yet, but that's be some sort of Farnborough Groove reference, probably.
Well,
that's part of it.
I look forward to reading that because yeah, as I say, I'm very, very interested in all the scene and everything, and I'd love to know more about the wider history of it. So yeah, definitely get on it.
Yeah, it's all in my head. I do sometimes have difficulty with what year it happened in. But I'm one of the first people to take a digital camera everywhere before it was on, built into phones. I used to got literally thousands of photographs from the Westie. I've got loads of MindWire, absolutely loads of MindWire. Some really good photographs of them, which I think they've used on their page and maybe their artwork as well. So yeah, did a lot of photography. I think if you call it that, that's more luck than judgment. I was clicking, got some good photographs, got some good ones of 100 Reasons as well, and an awful lot of Reuben as well, which only when he had hair.
Yeah.
Ever since I've known him, I've always had this lack of hair. So but I've watched this fall off his head.
Yeah, it really has. I saw him first time I saw him was 2013, and by that point he still had most of it on the sides and the front, but he did have a big old spot on the top even then. And yeah, now he's just got the little quiff and that's it.
Yeah, complete fruitcake. Love it.
Well, I tell you what, you'll have to check out our YouTube channel, because back about a year or so ago, I did just for sort of kicks, I did a video on the history of Reuben, just because I was interested in all everything, and you'll have to let me know how accurate it was, because most of it was sort of either through my own research or my own experiences and everything. But yeah, you'll have to let me know if I was actually on the mark or not.
Actually, I thought it's quite funny in the What Happens in Aldershot Stays in Aldershot. I don't get mentioned by name, but the Farnborough Groove gets mentioned, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does.
Barney first heard Angel on the Farnborough Groove and didn't like it. Quite ironic. It wasn't their best song they put on there, really, but I remember it being very, very nasty, angsty. I wasn't sure the right word is. It's really. I'm the one that laughed at you. I'm the one that made you cry. I thought, blimey, Jamie, you're only 16. What are you want to do that for? It's horrible.
Sincerely, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, and in sort of a roundabout way, you have really helped shape my music taste. So thank you so much for your time today.
That's it. All right, take care, mate. Cheers.